Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at mana, and just before we do, we look at Bitcoin first, kind of see what's going on in the market, just so you get a quick baseline. You may already know, of course, because it's hard to not know what happened yesterday, but we dropped about 10% in about 3 hours. It was a difficult time for a lot of folks. Unfortunately, some of our stop losses got triggered, but that just kind of happens sometimes. You can only play it so tight, or rather so loose, and Bitcoin just kind of dropped, and now it's been consolidating sideways about 65,000 ever since. So it's trying to figure out if it wants to close above or below that. The key takeaway here is that if this one-day candlestick can close above 65,000, then we're going to be in good shape to go ahead and see a continuation of the upside. If it keeps closing below, we might see the price retrace a little bit. I don't personally foresee that happening. I think we're going to see some sideways action for a couple more days, and then kind of go from there. But the good news is on the 4-hour chart, if I'm not mistaken, yep, the 50 is working its way up. So that is effectively a very, very good sign. It's working as a nice support level, so that should continue to push the price action higher. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick look back at mana, see what's going on here. We got this nice little push here today. And what we'll do is, first of all, we'll look at one-day chart as well. But all in all, that little reset yesterday hopefully got some people to get in around 220, 230. That's awesome if it did. You'd be up about 30% on that position. That's fantastic. Now, bottom line though here is the moving averages are so far away and nothing else really matters here in this case. RSI is holding the price under 70. So in other words, that's pretty much concurrent with this resistance level here, right? So it's interesting how RSI lines, 50, 70, 30, whatever, they all kind of coincide with major Fibonacci retracement lines, which are strong resistance levels too. That's why the RSI can work as a resistance line, because they're concurrent oftentimes with, in this case, 0.236, which is a Fibonacci retracement line. So just bear that in mind until the RSI comes up over that line there, up over 70. We won't be considered bearish, or correction, bullish any longer, right? In other words, we need it to go above that to be able to have that momentum to the next leg up. Obviously, the same thing applies here. Look, you see that major resistance level. It needs to be above that in order for that to happen. Now, here's some good news. We've got the 50-day simple moving average working as a pretty strong support level here. So it looks like about 8 to 12 hours we've had the price above that line. That's a very good sign. So it's kind of hopefully going to be able to squeeze the price up above. I don't think it'll move that aggressively, but it'll eventually get the price to move back up. So that's typically a good sign. I don't like buying into resistance levels, but having the 50 behind us is a very, very good thing. The 200 is also trailing behind as well. It's taken its sweet time, but obviously this moved up very quickly. So it's not going to be impacting the price for at least another, 2 to 4 weeks, right? So between now and then, the 50 is working its way working the price higher essentially, right? So that's a great sign. So mostly bullish qualities here, minus the RSI resistance, which effectively is the same resistance level here. So 294 is a strong resistance level, all right? So what we want to do is maybe set an alert. I'm going to set my alert at $3 so I can get notified if the price were to break above. And obviously if it closes above, we'll be in really good shape. But what we prefer though is for the one-day candlestick to close above that line. Doesn't matter the 1 hour, doesn't matter the 4 hour, the one-day candlestick is the most important, okay? Furthermore, looking at the 1 hour chart, let's see what's kind of going on here. We got the TD sequential. Actually, no, correction, this is Ichimoku. We'll look at TD sequential next. Prices above the cloud on Ichimoku. That's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. So good news is price above the cloud is just getting rejected at this resistance level here, but it's only tested at one time. But as you can see previously, it's tested it multiple times and eventually got rejected. Again, breaking above on the 1 hour chart doesn't mean much. We would need it to close above on the one-day chart, right? That's the important thing. But for now, this is a very good sign, the fact that it's testing and knocking on that door, so to speak, right? So a very good sign there. Taking a look here at TD sequential, looks like we're right around a 4. We had a nice little reset here, so that's a very good sign. We've also got higher highs and higher lows, right? That's a good sign too. So if this next little dip stays above this line right here, we're going to be in good shape to effectively be able to break that resistance level. So pay attention to the higher highs and higher lows in the 1 hour chart. That's extremely important here. If we can keep this next higher high right above this line right here, sorry, the higher low rather, when the price comes back down, if we can keep it above that line, or if it just say it bounces right off that line, it's perfectly fine. That would allow us to understand the price is going to come back up again and try to knock that door out, right? Also bear in mind too, I know this is kind of pushing it, but we do have a potential, cup and handle pattern, right? Where it's coming up and trying to test. So heaven forbid the price were to come up right now and kind of get rejected out and come up again, then it would be a potential push to the upside at that point as well. Again, these kind of chart patterns are more effective on larger time frames, but that's still very relevant in this case here, because obviously this little thing right here shouldn't have even happened, right? That should not have happened, but it did, and it just allowed the price to continue down a little bit further than it should have, and it continued up. So I wouldn't be surprised if the price rejects again one more time, comes down close to this little area here, and then blasts right through. All right, so that's all in all what we're looking at there. Sorry, I kind of fast forwarded there. There we go. Yep, so all in all, doing pretty good. Let's look at the best case scenario here. So say Mana was to pull its head out of its, you know what, best case scenario here. Again, this is a little ways off. We're looking at $8.30. That's always been the best case scenario for Mana ever since it hit its high of about $4.92, it looks like. But it has to break this resistance level, has to break through multiple Fibonacci retracement lines. It's got a lot of work ahead of it. But once it gets that momentum and starts making those higher highs, it'll start channeling itself up further and further. We could eventually see that break that high. And what that would look like too, and just bear in mind, this is 30, we're looking at roughly about 12 to 14 days. So this is just roughly 2 weeks worth of data here, right? So from here to here is 2 weeks. So hypothetically, in the next 2 weeks, by month end, we could very well see $8.29. Do I think that's going to happen? No, not in the simple sense of the fact that man has been getting rejected out like crazy, but it has a tendency of breaking out very hard too, right? So there's no doubt that it could get up there once it starts taking off, but we need to start seeing those higher highs, those higher lows. I mean, you can see it back here, plain as day. It was making higher highs and the higher lows multiple times. Of course, it's kind of hard to see on this chart here, being so small, but it is essentially carrying on that bullish momentous trend, right? And if we start seeing that here soon, that could be the start of a pretty good thing. Okay, so we'll keep a close eye on Mana. Let's try to keep a watchful eye on this one. I've got my alert set. We'll see if that breaks through. Then I'll pay closer attention. We get the 1 day candlestick to close above that line. We'll be in really good shape, and I think we're looking okay. Cool. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Thank you so much for joining me here. Feel free to reference my Patreon community, of course. Love to have you on board before we close the doors. We're going to probably max out at 200 as speculation here for now, just based on the amount of members right now. I want to make sure that everyone's getting the right type of help, right? Because it's really designed to make sure that you become a better trader, and ultimately you can share. I share all my trading signals with you, so every single trade I take, you're able to follow that too. It's really awesome. Either way, thanks again for joining me. We'll see you in the next video. Appreciate the request as well. Thank you so much. We'll see you. Take care.